Yeah, I want to actually. This is something that's not in the major media too much. It's kind of like somebody will hear about it and then it's filed away, but it's like super, super important. And it's about the bee colony collapses. And there's actually something out there that's like not that well known that hemp can actually maybe save the bees, big time, big time. Um, Now I know like there's a lot of theories out there as to why the bee colonies are collapsing. They say it's the climate change, it's global warming, it's because the weather's getting colder. No, it's because of all the pesticides they're using. No, it's because of the cell phone towers. It's from other types of pollution from communication towers and stuff. I don't know what the hell it is. But actually, Jim Rogers, the famous investor, when he's buying into agriculture, I'll bet you he's dead on with that stuff. I'll bet you he's dead on with it all the way, because start thinking about it. He doesn't really mention as one of the things the bee colony collapsing, but he says about the average age of the farmer and stuff, but the bee colonies collapsing is actually going to bring the price of food up a hell of a lot. And it was Albert Einstein, I think, who said if the bee colonies collapse and there's no bees on this earth, it's only a matter of like 4 or 5 years before people starve and everything's done. All the food's gone and everything. It's that important. And I don't know what the hell these. I mean, they're not doing nothing about it. It's almost like you think it would be a big emergency. Now, I know about the. I'll mention this because it's a little. I mean, I guess it could be like. There's a solution. I'm going to give you a solution here. It has to do with hemp, but I know the Georgia Guidestones say about keeping the population of the world below 500 million, less than a half a billion, and that means like 90% of the population would have to disappear. That was like their number one thing on the Georgia Guidestones that was put out there by some rich people or something. But I this whole bee thing would fit right into that, because it's gonna actually hit up on things really fast. There's gonna be it's not like conspiracy theory. It's just a fact. Unless the bee colonies start not collapsing like the way they are left and right, this is actually going to come to a real problem. Now, there's something out there. This is actually from a couple of years ago, but it's the I'm just reading from it. I'll post a link on the bottom. You can read it, but it's one of these things like they do great work, and it's like somebody finds something out really great, and they freaking ignore it, just like everything else with hemp, right? Freaking jerks. I'm going to tell you this before I even read this thing. If you ever got a chance to meet a Rothschild, some of these jerks, they find, they get to meet a Rothschild or some bigwig or some bullshit. Maybe not a Rothschild, but somebody else. And, they attack them if they try to get their little soundbite in there, like, well, you were at the Bilderberger meeting. What are you doing? Why do you do shit like? Why do they do shit like that? Either I say, you talk nice to the guy, you offer him some things. Well, how about growing some hemp on the earth, and we'll give you 1% of the profits. Or if you don't like the guy, just kill him. I mean, really, right? I mean, why play that little fucking game about giving a bunch of shit for attention? It's a bunch of crap. My thing is, you talk nice to the guy. You never know. The elite could be okay. You don't know. If they're not okay, then they're not okay, right? Then Anyway, this article goes on. It's the Swiss Association of Hemp Friends. Its initials VSHF. It's almost like shit hits the fan or something. But VSHF, right? Swiss Association of Hemp Friends. Hemp makes bees healthy. That's what it says. It was established in 2009 in East Switzerland. It placed 24 honey bee colonies, fed them some hemp syrup. The effect of the industrial hemp convinced the board member that what happened was when they gave them this hemp syrup to these bees, only 10% of the colony died during the winter instead of 50%. That was the difference. So basically, it said the hemp worked like an antibiotic. I think that's pretty cool. And it's a shame, that we ain't growing hemp, and I almost got to say this. Hemp is not marijuana. There's no freaking weed in it. Like, there's no drug in it. Actually, it's got some crap in it that blocks the drug. So if you took hemp and you took marijuana, it's like anti-marijuana and marijuana. That's what it's like. I know in the state of Kentucky, they just passed by legislation that they're allowed to grow hemp. But, the governor's got to sign it, but they're not going to grow hemp. You know why? Because it's against federal law. It's like they want to grow it as soon as they got the green light to grow it, as soon as the federal government lightens up on it. And it ain't the federal government per se. It's the freaking big money jackasses that are playing this game. And probably the same type of big money jackasses that put up those Georgia Guidestones that says, keep humanity below 500 million. Right? And sometimes I wonder about the rule freaks out. Well, I don't want to knock law enforcement, but sometimes I wonder. I mean, I don't know what the hell can go on with somebody. Well, I do know. They get paid. But let me put it to you this way. If you got, somebody grows hemp, it's like a crime, right? But there's no drug in it. And, it's like they'll nail these people for this kind of crap. And it's like, for what? For what? When you think about it. But I say, well, it's the law, and the law's got to change, and it's just my job to, you know what? Think outside the box, man. That's all I say. Think outside the box, because it's, people wouldn't be enforcing those kind of laws if the law said you're going to walk off a cliff and by your, that's what you're going to do, because the law says walk off a cliff. They wouldn't do that shit. Bottom line is they get paid, so it's disingenuous. So the only way to fight this is you're going to have the people that are actually enforcing the law look the other way. Look the other way on a lot of shit, because this crap ain't really a crime. The crime that's going on is the elite are keeping this out of the hands of the people. And this actually is this could solve most of the problems in the freaking earth. That's why they made it illegal, because now they got a racket with oil, they got a racket with a lot of shit. So, but the big thing with this thing now is it looks like hemp is a way, hemp syrup is a way to keep the bee colonies from collapsing. And if nobody's growing hemp, how the hell are you going to get the hemp syrup, right? So, that's, if the bee colonies do collapse, I mean, I don't want to say, like all this bad shit's going to happen, but kind of wondering about old Jim Rogers. That's the one thing he doesn't say about what his investment is maybe for. He's heavy into agriculture. He thinks it's going to play out. Maybe it's because of the bee colonies collapsing. Food's going to be like gold, right? It's pretty, I think this is freaking 1 and 1 plus 1 equals 2. It's plain and obvious. I don't want to, overemphasize it, but hey, somehow, the global food supply getting like really messed up because honeybees colonies collapsing is a big deal. Is a big deal. And looks like we got a solution here. Feed the bees hemp syrup. And then a hell of a lot more of them survive. It works like an antibiotic or something. And they knew this a few years ago in Switzerland. So, I'm going to tell you, man, it's not all the elite. It's not all the elite doing this shit. They got a lot of cooperation between people lower down on the chain. I mean, they hire people to enforce all these freaking laws. They got people out there doing all this shit. They're part of this game too. And that's what I say, with all those people that are a little further down the chain that aren't a Rothschild, they're pushing these laws. They had to look the other way. And I'm not talking about drug marijuana. I'm talking about hemp. Because, we got to get this shit going in this country. They make it legal in Kentucky, but it's no good to make it legal. It's like a nice, huggy-feely law because the federal government says it's illegal. So what the hell, in effect, that ain't going to start anybody growing this stuff. But, it's going to come down to where, I don't know, people are going to have to, I mean, even if people enforcing the laws are going to starve to death with this shit, it's going to be everybody. So it ain't a joke. So It's almost like people are gonna really have to fight bullshit and just rally together. And ain't nothing wrong with growing plain old industrial hemp that doesn't have drugs in it. It's going to save us, and it's going to save the bees, and that means it's going to save a lot of other food too. So that's some important stuff, man.